the audio fine for everyone? Hello? So I presume it's fine for everyone else. So today's class is all about union executive. So previous class I remember I took about parliament. So like always, I think we should just wait for a few more aspirants to join the session. So we'll just wait for 2 more minutes and then we'll have the session begin. So we are having students joining us. And I would like to ask one thing, and I've been thinking a lot, and I was thinking that I should be asking you someday, sooner or later, is that are you enjoying the live sessions or do you want the pre-recorded class? Which type of videos that you really prefer? From my end, is it pre-recorded class or the live sessions that you want from me? And whichever is fine for me, do let me know that. I just felt that pre-recorded videos, students could clarify doubts and all. So that is the reason why I asked, but I also finding lots of views in terms of pre-recorded videos. So do let me know in the comments or just WhatsApp me what type of videos that you like or enjoy for studying. So yes, we are having students slowly joining us. So if there's any other problem, do let me know that now. So it's 8:38 now. We'll wait for 1 more minute and then we'll start the session. So I've already taken the session union executive and I just went up till only the president part. And the reason why I dropped this class was that I started this without explaining you about what parliament is all about. But since we already covered that part, that what is parliament and all about parliament, it will be much easier for us to know about the executive, which is the union executive. And yes, so today's class will be all about the union executive, that is the president, prime minister, his council of ministers and the independent charges ministers and everything related to that. So yes, so I think we should just start on with the class already because we're already getting late. And like always, I want to say is that as soon as you get the link, do get into the link and start watching the videos. The problem is that as we wait for other few more aspirants to join, we are wasting our precious time. And since it's stream, it's just going on. So that's the reason why just that always the class will be at 8:30. So be ready with your YouTubes and all. So yes, so we're starting with union executive. Like all the classes that I've explained, that we have 4 pillars in a democracy. Which are the 4 pillars? The first one is the judiciary, or the judges and the Supreme Court, High Court, district courts and the lower courts under them. And then we have the legislative, which is the body which makes laws, rules and regulations. For example, the farm bill that recently that we had, it's not upon, for example, prime minister. He cannot just say that okay, from today onwards I'm going to implement a new law, a new bill. No, nothing like that. There has to be a governing body. They have to look into it. Majority concise has to be taken into considerations, and only after that a new bill or a new law will be reaching the public. So that is the legislative. And then there is executive. So as the name suggests, executive is about doing the work. So executives. So usually the executives are always headed by president, prime minister and the ministers under them. Always that we remember that president is only a nominal head in the sense just for a namesake. That is, the real power is in the hands of prime minister. And just imagine, like, for example, uh, okay, it's just a hypothetical example. A king, suppose a king is there, but the king is having a very able minister, and the king is only someone who gives the last say in it. More volume. Okay, is the volume now fine? Hello, is the volume now fine? All right. So that is yes. So that was a saying that king, for example, like that we had Jalaluddin Akbar. That we had Jalaluddin Akbar was a very small kid. For example, if you've seen the movie Yodha Akbar, he was such a small kid when he ascended the throne. All of a sudden, his father, had an accident and he died, and all of a sudden, Akbar was vested with so much of power and so much of responsibility, and for that reason, even though he is just nominal, that is, he will be sitting on the throne, but all the other activities will be done by a prime minister. In the case of Akbar, it was his Khan Baba. So same thing over here. We have a president, but all the other activities, that is, all the executive functions will be carried on by the prime minister or the minister, as the name suggests, minister, but he is a prime or the most important one. So our idea is for learning is that, you know, try to understand the meaning behind it. That is, prime means most important, and ministers, that we all know, every king's had ministers during the olden times. So same thing over here. We have a president, and then we have the prime minister, and we got the system from the British. That is, we were under the British rule for very long time. First we had the East India Company, and after that we had the monarchical. That is, the Queen was directly supervising us. So we knew that there was a monarchical head. There was the Queen was there, but they were assisted by many number of people. Same thing, same system we applied over here also. So that is the reason we have a president and then a prime minister, that is someone who is looking after the whole of the, sort of like all in all. And he will be assisted by many ministers, that is all these ministers, cabinet ministers, council of state, independent charges, and all these ministers under him. So that is how we get a union executive, the ones who does the execution, who does the task of it. And yes, the first one is president. And some people might ask, why do we need a namesake person? Why do we need someone who doesn't have any, like, president have his own powers, but why do we need that? And the power that's being given to the president could be said in a sort of like a non-technical way to be very negligible. So why do we have a president? The reason is, president is not a leader of a ruling party. A president is selected by the representatives. For example, we have our president, Kovinji. He is not a representative, or he is not a leader of a political party. He is selected, like, by the majority of whichever parties are in the parliament. For example, this parliament, we have the ruling party, that is BJP. We have the other opposition parties. We have Congress. We have, DMK. We have the Aam Aadmi parties. We have lots of premier opposition parties as well. So all these parties together, they say that, okay, we are going to select one person who's going to be heading everyone. And here we all know that even in the case of emergency, just because the prime minister say that, okay, we are in a state of emergency, so President Sahab, please sign the ordinance. So please sign, and let us have the emergency situation. But the president have the power to not sign it. Okay. So it's sort of like an accountability, sort of like an outside accountability. So that is the reason why we have president, so that not one party's, whatever they wish wouldn't be implemented here in 5 years term. So that is the reason why we have a president. And the next question what these aspirants ask me is that, everyone is selected by by us, by the common citizens and all, but why president is not selected by us? The president is selected by these representatives, that is, who are present in the sabhas and all. They are the ones, or only the elected. Okay, we all know that both in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha there will be nominees. Even the president nominates few people, but these nominees have no chance to select the president. Only the elected representatives, all these MLAs, MPs, and these MLCs, only they have the right to select the president. So why is it like that? Why we as common people don't have a right to elect him? One simple reason is that, why do we have to waste so much of time? Why do you have to waste so much of resources for someone? Yes, he is the first first citizen of India, but not so much of power is being given to him. So why do we have to exert so much of activities on that for reason? That is the reason why we have sort of like an informal election for the president. So this is Rashtrapati Bhavan. The elected president always stays over here rent free, without any rent, with his family for 5 full terms. And the president of India is the constitutional head, and he is the first citizen of India. And his executive power has been vested in the power in president, and he is a nominal or ceremonial head. Nominal is that just for the namesake, and ceremonial is like all the ordinances, all the laws, all the bills, everything being passed will be sent to the president for him or her to sign. So his signs is what validates the whole bill or laws, whatever is being passed. So his one single sign is very much powerful, and this is sort of like a ceremony. So that is the reason why he's said to be a ceremonial head in the state. And the executive powers is exercised by president only on the advice of council of ministers. Like I said, if you could see it in this term, that he is the one who signs it and makes it an ordinance, he is the one who signs it and makes it a bill or a law, but it's not something he decides. It's not something that he proactively asked people for the collective opinion and then he did. No, it's by it went through a series of process. Probably it was first a single law or single bill could be first passed in Lok Sabha, or could be first passed in Rajya Sabha, or a joint sitting could be initiated, and only after, through a series of procedures and process, only then the president get the chance to sign it and make this a real bill or an ordinance. So yes. And the qualification for the post of president is that, first one, he has to be an Indian citizen. Yes, that is, I don't think that is, we have to say, it's pretty much obvious and mandatory, and he has to have completed the age of 35. And he must not hold any office, both in the union and in the state government. And even the local, that is all the district panchayat level. And one thing is that it doesn't mean that he cannot get into himself in private enterprises. No, there's no restrictions like that. And person must be qualified for the election as a member of the House of People, that is the Lok Sabha. He should be having the qualities for being a member of the Lok Sabha. That is, he shouldn't be a criminal. He shouldn't have all these negative backgrounds with him. The person shall not be a member of either House of Union Legislature or the House of Legislature of any state. Yes, he shouldn't be a member of any parliament and any assemblies. And Yes, he should be proposed by at least 10 electors, and he should be seconded by 10 electors. That is, for example, if I want to be a president and I cannot stand up and say that, yes, I want to be a nominee for presidentship, or I want to stand for the election of presidentship. No, I can't do that. For example, I want to be the president. There should be people who should favor me first. They should get up and say that we want this person named Ashwati Alex to be the next president, and they should be seconded by a few people also. So that is how the qualification, or that is how he stands for the election of the presidentship. And also they should deposit a sum, that is 1/6 of the voters, and in the RBI. The reason is that to eliminate any non-serious candidate. So that is the reason. And tenure is normally 5 years, and but it shouldn't necessarily be 5 years. It could go beyond 5 years. For example, if a situation arises wherein the next president is not elected, or there is a delay in the next president to assume the office, for that reasons they could keep on going. And also there should also a chance that the president wouldn't be able to complete the 5 years term. For example, if certain unforeseen situations like death, or any health problems, or something else, that is, he is being impeached, for example, he's been fired. So we don't use any such crude words over here for president. We say that he will be impeached, that is, he's being removed. So till now not even a single person has been impeached, and even now not even a single time the activity or the procedure for impeachment has never started. And in the office of president, awakened owning to any yes. So yes, so for the election of president, he is elected by the indirect elections, and he is uh, only voting could be done by the elected representative, not even a single nominated person. That is, in the Lok Sabha we have 2 Anglo-Indians, and in Rajya Sabha we have 12 members. So these 12 plus 2, 14 people cannot go for election. Only these, that is, they cannot cast vote that who they want to prefer for the president. They can't do that. And yes, and it is method is known as single transferable candidates required to get a quota of votes. For example, if you have, like in 11th standard your admission, if you have like gone to your 11th standard admissions, you must have noticed that when you're joining for that, you will be given column for the admissions, writing your marks and your preferences. You will be given the column sheet, and you will be asked to mark your preferences 1, 2, 3 and 4. How many departments are there in the school? For example, my first preference will be commerce IP, and my second preference will be biomass. So everything is taken into consideration, my mark criterion, and then the seats available for it. So same thing over here also. It's sort of like a preferential candidature. You will be given your first, second, third and fourth candidate. Suppose your first one is not being taken, then the vote will be taken care to your next one. So the next, your preference will be given. So this, in a way, it sort of like eliminates confusions, and it wouldn't be like, for example, there's a tie or a tiebreaker is there, and we don't have to initiate a second round of voting and all. So it's much easier and more convenient in this way. And the powers and functions of the president is he has administrative power, legislative power, judicial, military, diplomatic, emergency and financial powers. And the role of president, he is the constitutional head, and he is the administration on the advice of prime minister. He has the power to reconsider. And pocket veto is that he'll be giving lots of whatever decision he has to take. Sometimes he'll say, okay, I'm not ready right now, I don't want to take a decision right now. So he could pocket it. And he is a nominal head, and changed political scenario also. And the impeachment of president could be started or initiated from either the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Any house could start with the impeachment process. Suppose if the Lok Sabha starts with the impeachment procedure, simple majority, that is, people are present, at least half of the people present, and more than the half number of people have to give the vote. So these people have to give a yes or approval to the impeachment, and that will be, for example, in Lok Sabha, it's a speaker of Lok Sabha. So the people will be giving that the bill to the speaker of the Lok Sabha, and the speaker has the right to accept or reject it. Okay, he could either do that. So suppose, just imagine, suppose he accepts it, it will be sent to the Rajya Sabha. So the same procedure goes over there. Even there in the Rajya Sabha, it has to be passed through special majority, and with that it goes to the chairman, and from the chairman it goes to the committee will be set up for investigating that the president can only be impeached if there is a violation in the constitution. That is, if he violates any of the rights of constitution, then he will be impeached. So the committee will be constituted, and the committee will decide whether this is true or not, whether the claims being taken for him against him are true, or there is any reason for him to be impeached. Then that will be taken into considerations, and then if it's a yes, that is yes, he did violate the constitution, he will be removed. And the next is the list of presidents. So I first initially thought of having all the list of president, but I thought you could just Google it, and we shouldn't waste much of time. But the first president, you have to remember, it is Rajendra Prasad. He was also the first interim president and the first president of our independent nation. And he was also freedom fighter of our India. And the next prime minister that we all know, and the first one is our Nehru, and then at the end we have our Modi ji. So prime minister is the real, or the executive power, or the executive head of a government, and he is appointed by the president. Appointment, that is, the president have no say saying that, okay, I prefer him, I want him to be the prime minister. No, nothing like that. President is someone who signs it. President is the one who reads out the oath. For example, if you have seen when Narendra Modi ji was, ceremony when he was made the prime minister, he has to read out the oath being said by the president. So that, in a way, we could say that the president is the one who makes him the prime minister, who appoints him the prime minister. And the ministers are appointed by president in accordance with the advice given by the prime minister. That is, all the ministers under the prime minister are, yes, the prime minister has the majority of say. He decides whoever wants to be under him. And then, yes, the president, he is being advised by the prime minister. And the council of ministers holds the office during the pleasure of the prime minister. Like, for example, in the first term of Modi ji, we know that Smriti Irani was first the minister or the council cabinet minister of HRD. Then she was shifted to textiles. That is, in between the term, she was removed or she was changed. So she holds the office in the pleasure of prime minister. She is directly answerable to the prime minister, not the president. She, in the sense that all the ministers under them. And prime minister and council of ministers are responsible to Lok Sabha and to the president. They are answerable to the Lok Sabha and to the president. Lok Sabha, why do we say that? Lok Sabha constitute not with only the leading party, that is the ruling party, but they also constitute the opposition parties as well. For example, right now we have these contentious farm bills and all. So they are being questioned every day, and whenever the opposition parties get a chance, they will be questioning the prime minister, the minister, especially the agriculture minister Tomar ji, and they will be asking questions. They all are answerable to the opposition parties and also to the president. President also will be asking that, why did you do that? And all these questions necessary to them. And then provisions regarding the prime minister and the council of ministers. There will be a prime minister and council of ministers to aid and assist the president of India. The president shall administer the oath of secrecy to the ministers. The total number of ministers included in the prime minister shall not exceed 15% of the total strength of the Lok Sabha, and the salaries and allowance of all ministers shall be determined by the parliament. The reason is that, why we say is that, for example, in our parliament system, we do not see only, it's not a party or a political party or a ruling political party meeting. It is by an inclusive government. For example, if you have, heard that Ambedkar ji, he was the chairman of drafting committee. But do you know that he belongs to a socialist community, socialist party, and he had a different ideology from our Nehru, then prime minister, who was also the leading member of the Indian National Congress. But the reason why Nehru included Ambedkar, B.R. Ambedkar, and many others who are from different ideologies and different political, ideologies, is the reason because just because just because they are not sharing the same political interest, doesn't mean that they are not for the good interest of the nation. If I feel that he or she is at the right capacity or the right ability to look after the welfare of the nation, then I should appoint him. Same thing happened for the Nehru case. Nehru knew that Ambedkar and Nehru had different ideologies in terms of political spectrum. But Ambedkar, as an advisor in case of legal formalities, in case of all the, legislative and judicial capabilities, he was the best. So that is the reason why this was included. So our government is, in a way, we could say that it's an inclusive government. Okay, we are the who go against us. No, nothing like that. Everyone will be included. Everyone's say will be taken into considerations. Even a single or a small person his voice will be heard. Because why? It's a democratic setup. And the salaries and allowances of all the ministers shall be determined by the parliament, yes. And we only have the increment, and it hasn't been a decrement ever. And yes, the prime minister is directly elected by the people, we know that, and the person gets elected as member of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. And Lok Sabha is the lower house and Rajya Sabha is the upper house. And I think I discussed about the legislative council, that parliament, in last class. So like we all know, Lok Sabha is a permanent body. It could be dissolved anytime. For example, right now we have Narendra Modi ji's NDA party, that is the BJP party ruling. But after 5 years, after they attain the 5 years of term, a next party or a next ruling party will come. So that is the reason why we say it's a temporary body. Other reason is that if the president feels that okay, they are not doing the right work or they are going against the general interest of the people, so I'm going to dissolve them. So even in that case also we say that's a temporary house. But Rajya Sabha is always permanent. And here it is people are retiring every 6th year. And every like even they have the term of 5 years, but every 6th year once 1/2 of people they kind of resign. I mean, they go out, retire. And the leader of the with the majority of votes in Lok Sabha is appointed as a prime minister, as in we have right now Narendra Modi ji is a leader of the BJP ruling party. So that is the reason why he was able to be the prime minister. Suppose in next term, same BJP party again wins. But they decide, okay, the BJP party decide, okay, we want someone else. Preferably we want Amit Shah to be the next leader of a party. Then Amit Shah will be the next prime minister. So yes, and the president administers oath of prime minister and he is appointed. Yes, that we already covered. And powers and functions of prime minister is that prime minister is the head of the council of ministers and he is responsible for coordination among the ministers. That is, like I said, all the council of ministers, all the cabinet ministers, all the ministers of state of independent charges, everyone are directly answerable to the prime minister. They have to one single person, that is, this prime minister is the leader. He is the one who coordinates the functions, who coordinates all the activities of all the ministers. And he can allocate, reshuffle various portfolios among the ministers. Like I said, Smriti Rani ji, she was removed and taken care to a different cabinet in the first term of the NDA government. And Prime Minister, the leader of Lok Sabha, he can recommend the dissolution of Lok Sabha at any time. And he advises the president regarding the summoning and proroguing the session of parliament. Summoning is starting the parliament session and proroguing is dispersing or ending today's session. And prime minister is the architect of foreign policies. Yes, he is the one who's representing. For example, when we had Donald Trump, who went for the bilateral relation, it wasn't the president, it was the prime minister. And we all know that Narendra Modi ji he's very well in terms of bilateral relations. He have very much cordial relations, diplomatic relations with most of the nations, most of the international nations. And it's actually a very good thing to have a sort of like a friendship. And yes, so Prime Minister is the chairperson of Planning Commissions and Developing Council. So what is a new name for the Planning Commission, which is Niti Aayog. And he is the chairperson of these Niti Aayog and Development Council for all the developmental organizations and all. Prime Minister will be the head. Prime Minister decides upon the proclamations of emergency. He decides, and upon his advice, the president, he could reject or accept it. His resignation is considered as the resignations of the Council of Ministers. For example, Narendra Modi ji was saying that, okay, I am resigning. So it's not like one prime minister is going and then we'll get a next prime minister. The whole of the council, the whole of the NDA government will be saying that we are resigning from our post. And prime minister acts as a link between the president and the council of ministers. He advises the president regarding the appointment of important officials like Attorney General, CAG, that is Controlled Auditor General of India, members of UPSCs. That is, president is the one who appoints all these important people, and they are appointed on the advice of Prime Minister. Prime Minister is also the political head of services, yes. And these are the notable prime ministers that we had. The first one is Jawaharlal Nehru. And Indira Gandhi also, you have to remember and understand few things, is that she was the one who had the national emergencies, and also all these the issues relating to the Golden Temple, everything, it's both dynamic and static as well. So read through all that. And yes, Rajiv Gandhi and Narasimha Rao was also important, because that was when we had the liberalization, privatization and globalization. The economy started booming with this tenure, that is with PV Narasimha Rao. And we know that Manmohan Singh was the finance minister during his period. And yes, we had Manmohan Singh, and then we have finally Prime Minister, who is Narendra Modi. This is his second term. First term was in 2014, and after that again he won, and he brought in lots of initiatives, especially Swachh Bharat and all, and digital money and currency and all. So these were very good initiatives taken by him. And the next one is the assistant body of the Prime Minister, which is Council of Ministers. So Council of Ministers is headed by the Prime Minister, is the real executive authority in our administration system. For example, we have an administration system. In any corporate world, there will be administrator, CEO. So Prime Minister is the CEO, and there will be other departments under them. For example, we'll be having departments of HR, we'll be having departments of sale, we'll be having departments of executive. Same thing over here, CEO is the Prime Minister, and the other departments head are these ministers. So they are divided into three categories. One is cabinet ministers, then minister of state, and state of independent charges. The Council of Ministers assist prime ministers taking all important decisions regarding policies of the government. They will be given each portfolios, important ones. And this was the 2014 one, an old one. Try to get your, even in terms of polity and even economics, everything has to be updated. Okay. He cannot write, for example, Sushma Swaraj, our External Affairs Minister, because she passed away. Right now, we have Jaishankar ji as the External Affairs Minister. And so everything has to be updated, right on track. So it consists of 60 to 70 members, and it does not meet as a body. They are independent. Okay, they do not, okay, we are the head of all the councils, we'll come and meet. It's nothing like that. It has no collective functions. They are independent, like I said. And Council of Ministers has vested with all powers but in theory, and its functions and decisions are determined by the cabinet. And each cabinet minister will be assisted by many other secretaries who are IAS officers. So yes, aspiring IAS officers, if you get a chance, you will be getting a chance to assist these ministers, and you will be giving lots of, your contribution to the nation making for the welfare. So study hard for that. And classification and size are determined by the Prime Minister according to the situation. The Cabinet. It's a smaller body consisting of 50 to 20 members, and yes, it's part of three categories, one among them. And they meet frequently to deliberate, take decisions regarding transaction business. It directs the Council of Ministers by taking policy decisions which are binding, and all ministers implements them. It enforces collective responsibility of Council of Ministers to lower house of the Parliament. In short, everyone is answerable to the Lok Sabha and as well as Rajya Sabha. Anyone could start questioning us. For example, the farm bills, if you could ask, anyone could start initiating a process saying that why did you do that, who asked you to do that, and who gave you the authority to do that. It doesn't mean the person on the other hand will be a cabinet minister, secretary, or ministers, whatever the reason is that. And the role of cabinet is that highest decision making authority in Indian political system. It is the chief policy formulating the body of parliament. That is, each portfolios will be set up for, for external affairs, for broadcasting, for all these different categories, for women welfare, and is the chief coordinator of central administration. These are the broad categories of our administration, Indian administration. And is the chief advisory body of president, and its advice is binding on him. That is, president, like I said, always president have a chance to accept and reject, but in certain cases, these advices are very much binding on him. It deals with all foreign policies and foreign affairs. It deals with all major legislative and financial matters as well. So this was the role of cabinet, and yes, I did not list out the type of ministers and the present minister that we have now, and such type of questions will definitely come for your prelims. They'll be asking you questions like, who is the current broadcasting minister, A, B, C, D. So you have to tick in the right one. So such questions will be coming. So such GK questions that you have to be keep on updated. So today's class was this much, and tomorrow I'll be taking on history. So yes, today's class was this much. So thank you all for joining. So take care.